Sure.
All right. The old barn has been officially replaced now. The Hawks christen the new United Center tonight, playing their first ever hockey game in their new spacious home. The Hawks in a preseason matchup against the St. Louis Blues. A big crowd ushered in what they are billing as the new Ice Age here at the stadium. The acoustics of the old building never be to be replaced, but maybe the Hawks can bring their fans a Stanley Cup in their new home. St. Louis breaks on top, though. Jeff Hackett beaten here by Greg Johnson in the first period, 1-0 in favor of the Blues. But about 1 minute later, the Hawks would score as they came back. Now, Steve Dubinsky got credit for this goal, so the Hawks tied the game at 1-1 in the first period, but St. Louis leads now by a score of 2-1, third period at the Chicago Stadium. Well, before the game tonight, we took a trip around the stadium to hear from some of the die-hard fans, the most die-hard fans in sports. Hawk fans have huddled for years in the old barn that still stands across the street, but now they face a brand new world. Franklin Roosevelt's great campaign song from the 1930s may have better suited the old stadium, but the Happy Days Are Here Again theme best summed up the impressions of the early arrivals at the new building. This place a bit different. You carried your coat to your seat in the old stadium, but this is the new Ice Age, and hockey fans were set to enjoy their first moments in the new era. After some fans had taken their seats, we looked for others who were seeing this sparkling place for the first time. I'm walking with two guys now, their first looks at the stadium ever. Two hockey fans, obviously with the jerseys. Come on in, guys. Here it is. Oh, what do you think? What do you think?
It's awesome. It is incredible. It's huge. It actually might be worth the money. It might be.
That's the most telling comment of all.
Unbelievable. The ice surface is so much bigger. I can't believe it. Unbelievable.
Like an old-timers club tonight, even the opening night adrenaline hasn't helped them in Detroit. They were a stride behind the Red Wings from the opening faceoff. Detroit scored first about 6 minutes in. Vyacheslav Kozlov whacked a rebound out of the air and into the net. 1-0 Detroit, and later on in the first, the Wings with a man advantage. Paul Coffey on the left wing. Coffey waits, and cuts it loose for the goal. Right now, 3-1 Detroit early in the third, so not much of an artistic display from either side tonight, but it is game on around the National Hockey League. Rich King taking in the opening night festivities at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. Rich, the Hawks haven't been into it, but what about the fans tonight?
Okay, Dan, well, our vantage point here is right behind the Blackhawk bench. You can see what kind of view Jeff Hackett, the backup goaltender, has in this game. Right now, the Hawks, you mentioned, in big trouble, trailing 4-1 here, but our focus, for me anyway, was the fans. Of course, a long wait for hockey, a bitter night here in Detroit, lots of bad weather, but for the most part, most of the fans who came in here were happy. A half season late, the gates finally opened on the NHL season. The fans who braved a rainy and snowy night were ready for hockey once again. Perhaps some were a bit too pumped up.
Let's say that I missed it so badly, my blood pressure went up today. I'm so excited, I can't even drink tonight.
As the fans gather, the rituals of hockey also return. The ice made fit, the Zamboni churning again in earnest. Up in the press box, the Chicago hockey writers got set to pen their first words on this brand new season.
Well, I think it's going to be pretty good hockey. I think the first game is going to surprise some people because these guys are really ready to go at it. You know, now maybe after the first game or two, a little bit of fatigue will set in because they're not really in great shape. But I think real early on, I think it's going to be some pretty good hockey.
Back amid the crowd, we did find a few Hawk fans scattered in. Hawk fans on hostile ground. You got a lot of heat around being a Blackhawk fan.
Yeah,
how much heat do you get?
A lot, tons.
What do they say?
I'm a wagon and I'm a loser.
You don't say that about me.
Anybody that likes Chelios, that's bad enough for me.
I'm trying to catch all the games I can here in Michigan. And finally, we got NHL hockey. It's great.
Where are you from in Chicago?
Arlington Heights.
All right, well, good luck to the Hawks. Huh?
Yeah, you got it. Go Hawks, go Eddie.
Then the moment finally they all came for. Hockey was back. The action on the ice. The Blackhawks against the Red Wings. The season, late, but finally underway.
I
And it is indeed good to have hockey back, really see the guys on the ice once again. Most of the fans in a pretty good mood. A good lesson, I think, for the value of hockey and the value of sports. And all the strikes and lockouts in the game, the fans keep coming back. Of course, baseball involved in a big labor dispute now. The hockey fans tonight, at least here at the Joe Louis Arena, gave their answer. They came out here in full. As you can see the big crowd up here behind me as they go on the ice. Let's pan over and see what the crowd looks like. You can see very few empty seats here. This was a sellout here at Joe Louis Arena. The fans came in very late, snow and rain in the air, as I mentioned, but they are here in mass enjoying this game. The Wings on top by a score of 4-1. The Blackhawks in trouble here in the third period, but the fans are happy to have hockey back, and I guess the bottom line is that regardless of strikes, lockouts, whatever you want to talk about it, the fans love their sports, and certainly the fans of Joe Louis came back big time, and they're here tonight enjoying hockey. So again, the Blackhawks down by a score of 4-1. There are 11 minutes and 4 seconds left in this hockey game. Not much of a hockey game. The Blackhawks off to a tough start, as Dan mentioned. They were down 3-0 early, and now the Hawks have to have a big comeback, or else it's sayonara here in their opener this delayed season. Okay, back to the studio, back in Chicago.
Okay, Rich, thank you very much. Boy, right on the button, an update. 4-1 now. The Hawks are down by 3 goals.
You know, this is disappointing. Did they practice much during the strike?
You know, they got together probably as much or more than any other club did, because so many people are centrally located around the Chicago area, and Jeremy in Detroit.
Drinking from, dropping, hoisting, or holding the Stanley Cup. 1955, the last time the Motor City celebrated a hockey title. The Wings of '95 still have the firepower from last season, and they've added a backbone, trading Steve Tyson for goalie Mike Vernon. And Vernon would play strong and actually was applauded by a fan that usually doesn't necessarily appreciate goaltending. Vernon, the leg save on Chelios. He covers up. He faced 21 shots in this game. Sean Burr, look out. He levels Jeremy Roenick. The Wings go to work on the Schoolbird. Burr shoots. Kozlov there to swat the rebound out of the air into the net. The Wings are on top, 1-0. Still in the first. All copy. Skates in from the and his wrist shot goes in. 2-0 Wings. That was in the second. Third period, 3-1 Wings on the breakaway. Stevie Yzerman. The wrist shot. Rooftop, 4-1 Wings, and that seals it. And Steve Smith, who was ejected in the first period for hitting Burr from behind, snacks his stick. We have our first seafood experience. 4-1 Wings, the final in this one, in front of near 20,000 in Detroit. They outshot them 16-4 in the first period, did Chicago, but Detroit behind 20 saves from Mike Vernon and a goal and an assist each from Kozlov, Cicerelli, and Yzerman go on to win it by 3.
Blackhawks and the Jets from Winnipeg. You know, some shots are harder than others. Stefan Quintal's blast wound up holding the game up for 11 minutes. Here's Eddie Belfour's look at it. And just when you thought you had a difficult job, you could have that job. 2-2 in the second. Alexei Zhamnov. The blast through Ed Belfour's legs. The Jets go on for the 5-3 win. Carl?
That feel, even if you bring in the guy who gave the stadium the most stirring of star-spangled banners. They tried to have that enthusiasm. It was their first home game. Blackhawks came out firing, but misfiring. Fans not taking a shine to the new surroundings. 19 shots, no goals in the first period. Still scoreless in the second. Tony Amonte, the blast. Bill Ranford still saving them for the Oilers. Chris Chelios also wind up. That's off there, but Joe Murphy is there for the rebound. Then the Blackhawks started hitting. Weinreich and Marchman collide. Jeremy Roenick sticking it to Luke Richardson. The Blackhawks, Chelios again misses. This time Murphy connects. The drought's over. Chicago has its first United Center goal. Then they just open up on Ranford. Just waiting there. Keith Carney slides it in. And the Blackhawks still have that horn as well. Ranford in disbelief as the Blackhawks nail them 5-1. Messmer's an executive for Chicago's minor league team, so he's out as the Hawks anthem singer. Chicago outshot Edmonton 37-18 for their first win. In the
years, one of the great wingers is calling it quits. Michel Goulet of the Blackhawks, injured last spring, announcing he is retiring because of head injuries. Goulet, who is headed for the Hall of Fame, is not going to test the fates with his body.
No one told me not to play hockey anymore, but being confronted with the facts of my conditions, I came to the conclusion that for my own sake, as well as my family, I should not take that risk.
Season home opener for the Hawks. They're on their way to a win, we hope.
Blowout win.
Blowout?
Which is nice.
Good.
But first, of all the stupid things that Bill Wirtz has ever done, including not allowing tonight's game to be on TV, Firing Wayne Messmer has to be the all-timer. Wayne has more class in his beard than Wirtz has in his whole body. As for Wirtz's team, that is the good news from the United Center tonight. The Hawks in Edmonton scoreless through the first. But for the record, the first regular season goal ever scored in the United Center, Joe Murphy. 11:33 of the second on the power play. The Hawks in complete control tonight. Jeremy Roenick and the boys flying around out there. They scored again with 4 minutes left in the second. Keith Carney got it out of a scramble in front. Hawks had a 2-0 lead, and Oiler frustration taking hold after that. Steve Smith and Scott Pearson toe-to-toe. For Smith, his first fight since he broke a leg last year. He survived this, and Chris Chelios, after a great fake, picks up the power play goal just before the horn to make it 3-zip. Right now, 5-0 early in the third. Hawks well on their way to victory tonight. Among the 21,000 or so on hand for opening night is Rich King, checking on how some of the VIPs are taken to the new building. Rich?
Well, Dan, it's a beautiful building, not the same roar as I mentioned earlier in the old building, quite different acoustics, but a lot of opinions on this thing. We thought we'd sample the two opinions of the Hawks' popular broadcast team, of course, that being Pat Foley and Dale Talon. There's Dale with the headsets on, Pat in the background, of course. Dale, a former player himself, and Pat Foley, longtime broadcaster here for 14 years, as a matter of fact. Not surprisingly, both men had similar views on this beautiful, brand-new building.
Hopefully they can get most of it. I think that was one of the goals when building the building. They wanted to get that and see if they could get as close to the sound as the old stadium.
You like this place a lot?
I really like it. I think it's fabulous. Our vantage point is almost as good as the old building. Obviously, all the amenities are a little bit better than, I think it's a great building.
It's fun to be in on the ground floor or something, and you know, the other place had so much character and so many memories. We're starting to create some new memories here now, so it'll take some time for the character to become part of what this arena is all about, but it's big, it's bright, it's beautiful, it's got all the amenities and all the things that the other place didn't have.
And right now, both gentlemen enjoying the hockey here. The Blackhawks on top, as you mentioned, Dan. The score now 5-0. The Hawks have totally dominated this game. They've been all over the ice here in the Edmonton end. So a good story developing, brand new building, and looks like the Hawks' victory in the long-delayed home opener. Rich King, WGN News.
You know, Rich, Pat, and Dale will never be the same. They don't have to jump into that basket and hang out over the second balcony anymore.
I asked them about that. They used to get little kernels of peanuts dropping on their head, popcorn, beer, whatever. But they got a much better vantage point here, a little safer for Pat and Dale.
All the comforts of the 21st century. Rich, thanks very much. Now we take you to the scoreboard.
Well, Rich King's here with sports. Hawks better win this one at home because I understand they're on the road for 8 games after
Long
this.
road trip after this. Time to get some hay at home here. The Hawks and the Leafs. The Hawks fans, of course, hoping for some sweet music against the Leafs at the United Center tonight. The music before the game had been very impressive. Steve Powell introduced to replace Wayne Messmer in singing the national anthem. Wow, what a set of pipes. The Hawks seem inspired by Powell's rendition. Joe Murphy getting a goal here off the Leaf defenseman on the rebound. Hawks led 1-0 midway in the first, and just 27 seconds later, they struck again. Again, a Leaf mistake on defense, and Brent Sutter beats a sprawling Felix Potvin. Hawks led 2-0, and they were on their way. In the second period, then, the Hawks up now 2-1. Steve Smith will get a rebound past Potvin and make it 3-1. The Hawks trying to even their record for the year at 2-2. Let's check the board, see what's going on.
Over the ice with that Blackhawk symbol, by the way. Tony Amonte and Dixon Ward getting into it early in the first period. Middle of the first, the Hawks explode. First, Joe Murphy gets it in on his second try. Then 27 seconds later, Brent Sutter gets the rebound. He knocks it in. Hawks take a quick 2-zip lead, 3-1. Second period, Murphy steals the pass, his second of the night, and the Hawks win easily. 4-1 is your final score. Some other scores for you.
Tonight as well, the Kings and the Blackhawks getting at it. Let's take a look at the highlights. The Kings scored first, but it was the Blackhawks who came out smoking. Tony Amonte sets up Jeremy ROENICK for the goal. That tied the game at 1. And the Hawks would score again off the power play. Then Brent Sutter dumps one in front of the net for Dirk Graham. It was 3-1 Hawks. You know you're having a tough night when this happens. Third period, the puck off the metal post into the open net. Yeah, that's a bad night. Blackhawks went on to win it by a score of 6-3. They pick up their first road win. The Kings fall to 1-4-1 on the season.
It was a nice way to come back. The Hawks had an easy time with Edmonton scoring 4 times on 6 shots in the first. Pat Poulin unstoppable last night. He scored back-to-back goals in the first. The struggling Oilers dropped their 5th in a row. Fans in Edmonton appear frustrated with this losing streak, just like the players. Stadium there only half full last night. Final score in this one, Hawks 7, Edmonton nothing.